Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our next lesson that we're going over with this orientation class. And for those of you who might be taking the orientation class already, there's a few of you that I do know. But the orientation class itself is free for anybody to check out. And we're going to continue adding to that. I want to make this known. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but we're going to probably refine it a little bit more, add more elements to it as an introduction into what you can expect from these courses, and as well as how to some basics of the Christian faith and tools as far as how to dig deeper, or where to look, I guess is where we want to say, in order to get a better or a deeper understanding of the Christian faith and of the scriptures themselves. Now, as you can tell here, this video here is for Bible study tools and tips. This is just kind of an overview. I wanted to share some content that to help you as a Christian to go deeper in your faith. If you're like me, or at one point in my own life, I was actually questioning. I was like, I don't know where to look. I don't know what resources I need. I don't know what books to look through, what books to read. I don't know what these terminologies are. In fact, I'm 33 years old. I've been a Christian for about 10, 15 years. 15 years. And I would say I've been deep into my studies for about, almost 10 years. 33 is about 25 or so, so about 8 or 9 years, roughly. And there's even still a lot of terminologies that I personally have a hard time with, that I don't understand, or I don't have memorized as far as the definition. For an example, the definition of eschatology, the study of the end times, that's one that actually took about 2 years for me to grasp. Soteriology, I believe that's the study of salvation. Christology is kind of obvious. And then theology itself is the study of God, or more broadly, the things of God, which I believe, in my opinion, theology could be the overall scope of all different ologies or studies of relating to the Christian faith. But in this video here, we want to just go over some, I just want to give you guys some tools and tips as far as what I've been using and what you can use in your Christian walk as well, in your studies of the scriptures, to get a better understanding of the scriptures and how to apply these to our lives. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. You probably have some more content, some more resources, or different resources that you personally use in your studies. But I want to give you kind of a little bit as far as what I personally use, just to kind of help get you started. Some actually might, and I would personally agree with this, or I would fall in this. I think I could, me as an individual, I think I could probably have more resources, or use more resources when it comes to studying a particular topic. However, I also don't want to get bogged down with 25 different books as far as what these studies go. So it's just a side note there. But again, we just want to go over some of these things of how to study the Bible and what kind of resources are available. Now, before I get started here, I have to share this content. I saw this last night, and it was a huge blessing. I thought it was really awesome because it is Saturday night. It is about 11:30 p.m. right now. And last night, roughly this time, I was planning on recording this video, and I decided to get on social media. And here I find from the Master's Seminary out in California, they're sharing 5 pictures of how to study the Bible and how to engage in the Bible. And I was like, that is good. I can use that, and I believe that's God's will, or God's provisions. His providence for supplying this, and I think that's a wonderful thing. and I want to share that with you. So these first couple slides, they're going to be credited, obviously, to the Master's Seminary. However, obviously, these tactics are not limited to the Master's Seminary, but it's kind of a broader thing. It's just something that they shared. Now, in the first slide here, the first one is of how to study the Bible or how to get into it, or practical ways, I think is what it was called, as far as how to... Give me a second. I believe I saved the slides and apparently deleted them as well. I'm looking through my pictures right now and it's not there. So I cannot tell you exactly what they titled it as, but I can give you the content that was shared. First, we obviously want to read the text repeatedly, and this is in reference to studying the Bible. Whatever passage it is, read it repeatedly, because by reading repeatedly, you're getting a memorization down, and something that did not stand out to you the first time reading it might stand out to you in the second or third time. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to read one verse over and over and over and over again, but it really helps to go over it a few different times, and even slower. I do that. I actually have to read out loud in order to, if there's an area in which I'm confused about or I'm not processing correctly in my mind as I'm reading, I have to slow down and read it out loud so that way I get a better understanding. But we want to read text repeatedly and take inventory of everything in the text and become aware of even the smallest detail as well as the larger context. This is an important key, and if you've watched some of these past videos, you know I have to have my little laser pointer here. The larger context, this is a very important aspect. We must have this. We cannot, and in almost every case of the scripture, with the exception of a few minor areas such as Proverbs, we cannot take one verse as one verse, or the entire scope of what's going on in a particular passage is what is important to a particular verse. So taking inventory of everything, you find a passage in the scriptures, you want to look at who these words are being spoken to, who is the one that these words are coming from, and we also want to know the historical context behind the issue of whatever passage you're in, and the overall message behind it. But we want to take everything under consideration, becoming aware of the smallest details. Now, there are certain things, such as the parables, that they're just fictional stories that Jesus uses to illustrate a certain principle regarding the kingdom and our eternal life. So, not everything should be taken literal within the particular parables. Now, we're not going to go into that. We might go into it at a later study, but not in this particular time. But that's something that we must remember, is not necessarily every single minute detail of a particular parable, but the overall message, the teaching behind that parable, and why Jesus is teaching said parable. So that's another example. But sometimes the small details are very important, and we should look at all of them as well. But again, anytime we're reading a passage, just because verse 6 says something in particular, and you're like, see, there it is, there's my justification, we need to make sure that we have that particular text in the overall encompassing the larger aspect, the larger context. For an example, Matthew 7, people often say, well, it says, judge not lest you be judged. That is true, but in its larger context, what that's referring to is a hypocritical judgment. Now, there's more we can go on with that. In John 7, Jesus actually, gives an affirmation, a permission to judge. He says that when we do judge what is right. So there is a level of judging that we as believers are permitted to do. In fact, even outside of that, we do judgments all the time. And again, that's another study. We're not going to get into that right now, but it's important that you look at the larger context of everything that's going on within the passage. Look at what's going on before, what comes after, and in some cases, even the entire book itself. might help to shed some light on the particular context. Now, the second piece in which we want to discuss here is comparing translations. This is always helpful. I don't personally do this too much. Usually I like to go a different route, and I'll actually share that here. It's actually one of our tools, but I'll share that here in a little bit. So, comparing the best translations, it can be beneficial. In fact, I don't want to condemn this. Just because I don't do it, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do it as well. I think if you feel this is necessary, then please do. In fact, the benefit to comparing these translations is a helpful way to recognize the details of the text. A helpful way to recognize the details of the text is to compare it as it is stated in your translation with how it is rendered by other standard translations. Now, I'm not saying go get yourself the Message Bible or the Living Word and compare those to find out the accuracy. Find some trusted scholarly translations. And some actually take, there are some particular words. I was listening to a podcast, so I can't give you the exact word that they were sharing, but there's a particular passage in which was being discussed by Steve Lawson. He was going over Philippians, I believe. I could be wrong on that. But he was explaining that there was a particular word within a particular verse that translators have a hard time deciding on the best modern word to use for it. So they really just do their best as far as translating it. Okay, this is what the Greek or the Hebrew means. Now, how can we best describe that? And sometimes it can be difficult. But to have a bunch of I would say, my personal opinion, maybe about 3 or 4 different translations, and we have Bible apps, so it's not that hard to look up the same verse. In fact, actually, there's a resource I'll be sharing here in a moment, in which you can do that, and you can see these line by line, the different translations. But these different translations really help to give you a broader scope, a better understanding. I mean, sometimes even a richer understanding to what the particular text is saying. So we also can create structural diagrams. And I actually when I was reviewing this particular, was reviewing these slides here. In fact, let me get this up here. I don't want to give away spoilers. But I was going over, as I was going over these diagrams, I was thinking of something. I was like, wow, this is a really great idea. I'm trying to see here if I have any flowcharts created. Getmind.com. Let me actually see if I can't go to their main page. Okay. So their main page, just like this, gitmind.com, is a really great place, a great resource to do mind mapping. I've got some people trying to market me here. But I actually have one of these. And I believe you can apparently do this on your phone. I don't have any of these. I don't have the phone or the mobile app. But what I like about this, in fact, let me go to the main page, or my main link that I have here for mind mapping. And like I said, unfortunately, I don't have anything created. Okay, here's one. I was just working on this. And I need to rework it. But something like this might be beneficial to create your maps. You can title these whatever you want. For an example, here's the verse, or here's the overall passage, the overall topic. And then you could go into the different themes, or the theme of it in one aspect, and you can go under here and put some aspect as far as who are the characters within it, and perhaps even write another one as far as the principle of what's being taught and how to respond to it. And maybe from here you can also add another one that could explain how you apply this to your life, and different examples. You can put a couple different examples here as far as how you would apply it, 3 or 4, and so on. So this is just a really cool thing, and you can even do this on paper and create a little archive for yourself. But creating diagrams are very helpful. They can help you get a more visual of the particular scripture. Trace the writer's flow of thought from the beginning to the end of the passage, and identify the main subject, the verb of each sentence, and recognize how various phrases qualify particular words. So you want the main subject, you want the verbs that are in the sentence, and you want to recognize how these phrases work together. So there's another aspect, again, creating diagrams. And then you can also ask the right questions. When I actually read this particular slide in which they shared, I was like, wow, I love this. Thank you. Because one of the ways in which I have grown in my faith is I've asked questions. In fact, in my earlier years, I came in the mindset that I doubted what I knew. And it doesn't mean that I doubted it in the way of I don't believe it to be true. But I doubted my understanding, and I used that to fuel my own research and my own studies and my own spiritual growth. Finding out, okay, there's this particular issue in the Bible, there's this particular word, what does this mean? And I try to play devil's advocate as if I'm wrong in my understanding and I need to go to a better understanding, or I need to fix my understanding. Sometimes those have worked and I've been redirected down a path, and sometimes I've already had a right understanding, but I went deeper into my understanding. So asking the right questions can be very helpful. In fact, question your understanding. I would say to a certain degree, come to the scripture as if you don't know anything, and you're seeking to understand in detail. I think that would actually be helpful. That's kind of the approach that I take. In certain aspects, I still do today because I don't know everything. I'm not going to tell you that I know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. There's still a lot that I don't know. So asking questions can be very helpful. Approach the text with the mind of a meticulous investigator, asking questions about the text. Again, that's what we've just noted here. And summarize the results of everything you've come up with, from your diagram to looking at the text, to looking at what's going on, to asking these questions. What is the results in which you've come across within this? Out of everything that you've come across, everything you've collected through these steps, step back and sum up what you've observed. And remember that the more time you spend in observation, the more effective and efficient you will be in your interpretation of the Bible itself. So I want to give you some helpful tools as far as what you can use to go deeper within your own studies. I'll share these slides here, these little points, and then I'll actually go to the URLs because I've got a bunch of different links set up to view for you, for all of you. And we'll go through those kind of one by one, sharing some of these areas. First off, a study Bible is very helpful. When I remember years ago, I was given my first Bible, and I still have it. It's a NIV Bible. It's actually a standard church Bible, red covering. And I was given it at a Christian youth event. I told them, I don't have a Bible, and they said, here, take this. I'm never going to get rid of that Bible. In fact, the Bibles that I've collected over the years that I've used, I don't get rid of. They just have a lot of value to me. So, but a study Bible, after having that church Bible for so many years, I got my first study Bible, the Voice translation. I find it to be very helpful. There are some little discrepancies, but one of the benefits, what I love about the Voice translation, I don't know if it's in publishing anymore, but what I do love about the Voice translation is the publisher, and they make it clear at the beginning of the book, so that way to avoid any heretical manipulation of the text. the publisher, within the text of the voice translation, they have italicized words. And those italicized words are the publisher's way of bringing light to the particular passage. And the reason they're italicized is because the publisher is making it known that these words that are in italics do not belong, were not in the original translation, but we are putting them in there to help you to understand the context. So that was a very helpful tool, and I actually now, today, I use the John MacArthur Study Bible, and that's actually one I would personally promote. It is huge, it is rich, it has a lot of content, a lot of explanations, questions, answers, and so on that you are looking for. It's a great resource, and you can also use the Reformed Study Bible. That's by Ligonier Ministries. But the Study Bible, the John MacArthur Study Bible, they actually have an app. If you go to your app store and type in GTY, you'll find something called a Study Bible, and you can download the app. And for, I think if I remember right, it was a couple years ago that I purchased it, but for $6, you can actually get the entire commentary that's in the $30 or $50, whatever the price is, I don't know. I haven't looked in a while, but whatever the price their actual hard copy study Bible is, you can get these on their app for a flat, like less than $10. So it's very helpful. I have it on my phone. I actually have the Bible itself, the hard copy, and I use them both. A really wonderful tool. So a study Bible will have a lot of things: maps, charts, grids, commentaries to help you to understand the text, reference points, and so on. Another aspect is a concordance, another beautiful gem that, and we'll go over this here in a moment. That's actually one of the links that we're going to be sharing. But a concordance in itself is basically an encyclopedia of every single word that's in the Bible, and it gives it gives the Hebrew and the Greek translation. Now, one of the most common ones is the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. That's actually one that I personally have in my library, and it's one of the resources that's available online for free for you as well, and we'll share that here in a moment. Bible dictionary and commentaries, these can be helpful as well. I actually use all of these. I use all of these when I'm writing my books and my material. I'll go to the commentaries and dictionaries. I don't have a lot, but I do have some sources online. We'll share those here in a minute as well. But hard copies, I've got one dictionary and one commentary that I like to use. Maps, as we said, those are very helpful when kind of understanding the travels and the regions of the time. And then helpful websites. Okay, we'll go over this here, and I'm going to open all of these up here because I've got a lot of browsers open that are related to this content here in this slide that I want to share. So, got questions, Blue Letter Bible, study tools, logos, and I think that is it. Okay. So these are some of the materials I personally use. Got questions? They do have an app. Actually, I think all three of these have an app. All five. I'm not 100% sure on Bible study tools. I'd have to verify that. But all these other ones I do know have a mobile app, and I have their mobile apps. Got questions? You can literally look up any sort of question that you have, type in a keyword, it'll give you your results of whatever the particular issue, topic, verse, and it'll give you a list of related articles based on what you've typed. And it is a wonderful tool. I even still use this today, 10 years into my studies, and I still enjoy going back to Got Questions and hearing their thoughts and learning new things about the Bible and the Christian faith through that. Blue Letter Bible, we'll show you that here in a minute. Bible study tools. Logos, I don't necessarily use that. I believe I've had an interest. I just haven't gotten around to it. I believe that's more of a program designed for perhaps pastors to develop sermons. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. I don't use it, so I can't really testify too much about it, but I do know it's a very helpful, very good, and popular program for people who want to go deeper into the Word. And then the Net Bible, that's one I'll be sharing here in a minute. So let me actually go to, let me get some of these pages up here real quick. Let's see what we started off with. We'll just go through browsers that I have. I've got a bunch of different browsers and resources open, so we'll just go through one by one and just kind of kick them off our list. This first one here is the Logos software that I've mentioned, Logos Bible software, and you can actually get it for free. Logos on any budget. Let's check this out. Let's see where this is. There's a $40 in print. No, I'm not sure. Start small. Okay, you can subscribe as low as $14 a month. And I believe there is a free version. I actually have it on my computer, but I did not share it too much or I did not bring this up because I don't personally use the Logo software. I can't really give you a lot of information on it. I can't really give you the guided tour. So I would encourage you to check that out. And I actually think I downloaded it recently. Yes, I did. The Logos app, the Logos Bible. That's what the app itself is called. So that might be something you'd be interested in checking out as well. So we have the Logos software, which you can find an exhaustive list. Going to their books and courses. They've got commentaries, sermons, audiobooks, audio Bibles, certificate programs, online courses, pre-orders, obviously, top 10 free. Oh, here you go. There's interesting. Top 10 free resources or 10 free resources. You can purchase some commentaries and other elements as well. So this might be good. Probably if you have a Bible study group, ironically, they have a buy for a group here. So there's probably, if you're leading a group, I'd probably recommend signing up and maybe get some of these Logos resources and check those out. So the next one here is the Blue Letter Bible app. I actually I have the I am actually going to have to click that. Oh, okay. They have the translation. Okay. So, okay, that's new. Anyways, Legacy Standard Bible. I'm not going to go too much into that. You can find this information here on their, main page as far as what that consists of. But it is a Bible that I've been interested in acquiring. But the reason I bring this up, one of the biggest features I personally use Blue Letter Bible for is that it's an online concordance, and there's a lot more to it. You can read the Bible through here and find some other resources and commentaries. But one of the big ones in which I personally use it for is to look up in a concordance what these particular words mean. Now, I've already got this preset as an example here of what I wanted to show you. Matthew 23 is the 7 woes to the Pharisees. And this is just a short example here. All you have to do is type in your verse up top, pick your translation, and you can always change this later, and do a search, and then here you will find it. Now, I have to scroll down because there's a particular piece here. Okay, so the woes is what I wanted to show as an example. Now, if I go down here, I can see a couple different tools, interlinear Bibles, cross-reference, commentaries, dictionaries, and others. But we have the verse in these sections here. So this verse, for example, has the woe to you that I want to share. If I go ahead and click this verse right here, this is going to open up another section, which is going to give me the English version as far as the Greek as well. And then the Strong's, this is going to be the number G or H, depending if you're in the Old Testament or New Testament, referencing Hebrew and Greek. And then the word number. I don't exactly know how they have them numbered. Maybe they number them as if in the order that they show up in the scriptures. But regardless, this is just a little reference point, used in like sermons, or, if you're writing a book or something, you can give reference to this. But woe, and I don't know how to pronounce this, uai perhaps. We're not going to listen to that just right now. But if I want to know what the usage of woe, because we use this today like, whoa, that was amazing, or whoa, that was crazy, or whoa, you almost ran into me. But when we look at this in the Greek, we click the link of the number, and this will actually give an example here. We'll have the translation, the pronunciation. Okay, so uai was just about right. We have how many different times it's used, and that can be very helpful when looking for the importance of the word. But alas, a woe. And this actually is really a strong, a stern cry. This is what it is. It's a strong cry, or alas, an exclamation of grief. The definition right here, an exclamation of grief. So, I mean, when these woes are there, that's something you want to look at. And we can look up another word. Let's go to Matthew 18. I'm just going to pick a random word here. Let's scroll down and do this one here. Matthew 18, what do we do? Verse 26, the slave. Oh, here's a good one, slave. So if we click on this word here, it's doulos, and we'll find out what it means to be a slave. Clicking this, you see the different usages here as well, and it's referred to a slave, a servant condition, devoted to another regardless of one's own, to the disregard of one's own interest. So it gives you a lot more details as far as what the word is, and in fact, if I scroll down, you can see the uses of the word itself, what verses that it's in. And if I remember correctly, scrolling down a little bit more, okay, no, it won't. You can also find commentaries on it as well, but that's on another page. So blueletterbible.org, or you can go to the website and check that out, and that can be a very helpful tool as well. A commentary. Now, this is one I personally use. In fact, I'm actually working on buying the hard copies. They're quite expensive, about $30 per book. And that's because Mr. Thomas Constable actually goes through, he's got commentaries on everything from Genesis to Revelation. So there's a lot of content there, but I don't necessarily know, because I don't use their Bible app or their Net Bible app. I do most of my studies on a computer. Or at least the commentary usage. I use those on my computer. So I don't know if you can have access to it on their app or not. You'll have to look into that. But on a computer, if you go to netbible.org and you go to their, obviously their Bible, or the Net Bible, you can go to any single particular verse that you want. I've actually got mine's browser saved for Matthew 1, and I just go ahead and click whatever chapter I want, such as Old Testament or New Testament. If I go to the Gospel of John, I mentioned chapter 7 earlier, and I can read here the Bible. And then over here on the side, we've got some net notes to give a little bit more detail as far as some particular elements. But one of the biggest things I personally use is Constable Notes. You have this literally verse for verse. You have verse 7:1, 7:2, 7:3 through 5, 7:6, 7:7, 7:8, 9, and so on. And he gives a commentary throughout all of the Bible. So there's a lot of content here. And he even cites some other sources, and he gives an explanation as far as, well, this in particular. Here's what a gentleman, for example, Warren Wiersbe, is a theologian in which he comments on, and he explains that Wiersbe says this, and I disagree or I agree, and so on, and here's why. So these can be very helpful too, to get a deeper understanding as far as the contents of the Bible. And I would personally highly recommend this resource as well. And this one here, I actually learned about this one through my own studies. Or through when I was taking my degree. They shared this website, ccel.org, stands for Christian Classics Ethereal Library. And this website is an archive of an endless supply of, I believe, public domain books, Christian books, some older literature, and very helpful, very wonderful piece. You can look up some stuff, like I'm scrolling through their homepage right now. You can search up for Watchman Nee, learn a little bit about him. You can learn about Ignatius and some of his works, some of his lives, St. Francis of Sales. And then let's see on page 2, John Edwards, Andrew Murray, and a bunch of others. But one of the key things I have to get around to, because I think this is a really cool piece, is you go to the early church fathers, and you can literally read their documentations, their works here for free. For example, Justin Martyr and Irenaeus. Let's go to volume 1. And from here, I can either choose to download or read online. And popularity, 100%, very big thing. The epistles to the Corinthians, and it shows you a whole entire archive as far as what it consists of. So really, really cool piece of work here. I would encourage you to check that out. Bible Arc, again, this is a resource that I cannot speak too much on. This was one that was referenced while I was taking my degree. It's not one that I personally use, but it was very helpful, or is promoted to be very helpful, and a wonderful tool. So BibleArc.org. That's ARC. I'm sorry, not .org, .com. BibleArc.com. So that might be a resource. In fact, I think they actually do have a mobile app that you can use as well. So if you just search up Bible Arc, there's another one. And then finally, some books that I personally use or have in my possession that I would personally recommend, or that and we'll actually share some links in this video. In this, you'll have this for those of you who are taking this orientation course. You'll also have those in the study resources as well. But for you to click buy if you want them. In fact, your acquisition of these products will actually help to support this, because you'll be clicking on an affiliate link. So anything that if you purchase any of these links, CC412 will actually get a percentage of that. And we use that as a means to help to support the ongoing work of this ministry. So we'd encourage you to check that out. Books, Bible charts, maps, and lines. There's honestly so much here that we can share. I can't really give you a bigger description here, but we've got some charts which you can look on your own, or obviously purchase your own. It's only a $20 purchase. And I don't use it a lot, but I do go back and look through it and look through some of the timelines in which they have. In fact, timelines, that actually brings us to this one. I personally purchased mine from the Creation Museum, and it was a really wonderful piece. It is a very massive timeline. It is literally designed to fill a wall, as you can tell here by these pictures, but it's very well illustrated. There's a lot of material in here, so there's some pieces here you might actually have to get some reading glasses. In fact, I have to use my reading glasses to check this out, so you can get an idea. There's a little girl here. We can zoom. There we go. There you go. Get a little bit of a better idea as far as how big this is. You can tell here this book is literally the size of her torso, and it unfolds to be 23 feet long. So my personal recommendation, and I believe this is something that every Christian should have, or something related to this, because I actually use this sometimes when I'm in my studies. I'll pull this out and look at some of the timelines. But it's a really cool piece to have on hand, or in your church, or wherever it is. And this one here is linked for $33.99, so about $35 is what you're going to be spending here for this. Closing some of these windows here so we don't lose track. Bible Illustrated, Baker's Illustrated Commentary. This is, again, one that I personally have. It is the full Bible, so it doesn't really give commentary as much as Thomas Constable does, but it does have some different information in regarding the passages. So this is actually one I also pull out when I'm in my own studies. Excuse me. So Again, this is another resource, very wonderful piece to have on hand. And Baker's Illustrated Bible Dictionary, I would strongly recommend this one. This is one of my very first theological books that I purchased. I got it as a gift from a family member. And wonderful piece there. I looked up, at the time, I looked at love. Or no, believe. I believe that's what it was. I wanted to know what it meant to believe. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes. So I was like, okay, well, what does this mean? What does it really mean to believe? So I looked up believe, and it said see faith. I looked up faith, and I said see trust. I was like, okay, well, then let's go see trust. So now I personally read that as the belief, or the believers, the ones who trust. So, anyways, just a quick thing there. But there's a lot of information. It's not just a quick definition of a particular word. It actually, gives you a nice little paragraph of the explanation behind it, a little historical context as well. And then finally, one of my most recent acquisitions, I've got it about, I want to say a couple months ago, maybe roughly last year. But this is a wonderful piece as well. Moody's Handbook of Theology. Foreword is ironically by John MacArthur. But it's by Moody Publishing or Moody Press. Moody Publishers right here. And then if they can give us some spoilers, we can see biblical theology. We can see some stuff about Old Testament, the Eden, Noahic, Patriarchal, Mosaic era, Monarch, and so on. Theology of Acts, James, Paul, Hebrews, John and Peter and Jude. Some overview of systematic theology, bibliology, theology proper, Christology, pneumatology, and a bunch of other elements as well. So, if you're studying to be a teacher, or again leading a Bible study, these are some things in which you might want to have on hand within your own studies. So, that's essentially all I have to share with you guys. I just wanted to kind of give you guys some tools in which you can use to go deeper within your Christian faith. And if you have more resources, please feel free to share them. Would love to hear from you guys. Perhaps we might update this video to share those as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and until our next lesson, I look forward to getting to know all of you, working with you, and helping you to go deeper within your Christian faith. You guys have yourself a wonderful time. God bless.